Hello, welcome to Needing Me. My name is Carol. I will be your host today, and just waiting for people to show up. Hello, chat, you guys. Hi, Seventh Son. Hi, Henny. Hi, Plant Freak. Yay! So, until people start toggling in, I will read from DBT Handbook, from the DBT Explained book, and hi. And I want to, I guess, make an announcement. Um, Hi, Megan. Yep, there's the link. um, I am realizing that 2 and 3 hour meetings are, I'm not going to be able to do this long term that way. So I'd like to reduce the meeting time to an hour. I feel like we're connected enough that if we still need a meeting after the meeting, we can get in touch, and maybe have a private meeting or meet somewhere online or through Zoom or Restream or something. We'll figure it out. My email is needingameetingrecovery@gmail.com. So if anybody wants to exchange numbers through that way, that would be wonderful. I'm happy to pass along anything and everything that somebody might like passed along. But yeah, if we can have the meeting be from 3:40 to 4:40, 3:40 to 4:40 Central Time, which is 4:40 to 5:40 Eastern, 1:40 to 2:40 California Time Pacific, and 2:40 to 3:40 Mountain Time. So congratulating here. Anniversary Pet Groomer, 25 years clean. Oh my God, I need my tiara.
Today, yes. Hello, that's
Yes,
awesome.
I'll go get my tiara. I have it in the other room.
In the meantime, while you're waiting, you get the Regal Rodeo Queen wave. Hello, hello. Congratulations. That is awesome. I love it. Sorry, I'm trying to get situated here. Congratulations to you, Pup Groomer. That is amazing. Let's see. Let's see.
All right,
Plant
so
Hey,
this tiara right here was Mom's tiara. We got it for her to wear for her 95th birthday. I got her a tiered cake that said 95 years regal, and it was designed after Queen Elizabeth's coronation gown. And we all wore tiaras. And so Mama's tiara is to celebrate sober days.
yes.
That is wonderful, Pup Groomer. Congratulations.
And Henny, the
So,
news, because she didn't
so,
hear it, 25 years clean for Pup Groomer.
yeah, yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yes, Mama Tiara, 95.
Very
That's amazing. And I love
exciting.
that girl. That was her last birthday. Yeah. And
Um,
we did it upright. She had a chariot and everything. My husband
that's
had made her this
awesome.
thing that
That is
we were
awesome.
around on in the whole farm, and it looked like a throne, literally.
I love it.
A
I
lawn throne, but a throne nonetheless,
know.
because it was up on a thing, like almost like you would carry with the sticks that, and you'd have a person here, person here, and you're all carrying this royal person on their throne, that thing, whatever that's called. You've never really celebrated your anniversary. Well, after 25 years, I say this is one to celebrate. That is amazing, Pup Groomer. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I had to wrangle a dog. That is so exciting. And I'm glad that you're celebrating today. That's
Yes. Hello, Tara
amazing.
smiling. Tara smiling.
Yes.
First time here. Welcome.
Nice to meet you, Megan. Welcome in. Seventh. Penny, hello. Let's see. Who do
I
plant
would take
free?
my beret off, but you really don't want me to do that. I'm having that bad of a hair day.
Yeah, mine's just like slicked straight. I did put on my eyelashes today, so there's something. Lashes on.
So yeah, I would like to have the meetings be an hour, and then if we still like have, I don't mind it carrying over a little bit, but not, hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Mhm.
Because yeah, I'm not going to last very long doing this. I have animals that I got to get out to, and I don't like getting out to the barn when it's totally dark.
Yeah.
Just not
Yeah.
good. Those animals it's not good.
No.
Love the new names. I'm lurking tonight. Okay.
All right.
Well, I'm so happy you're here, Tara, and I'm so happy to see you, Megan. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
That's,
Well, after that, I don't know if I
I.
go into DBT or not. That's just a real celebration.
It is. It is.
I would love to hear some of your secrets on how you stayed sober, if you wouldn't mind sharing. Thank you, Henny. Appreciate that. Yeah, and
Zelda.
if somebody's still needing a meeting after the hour, we can figure out a way to connect for people to connect,
Mhm. Mhm.
and maybe have a private meeting or move it to another channel. If somebody else wants to start up a channel, there's possibilities. Hi, Zelda.
Yeah. Well, Megan, I'm glad that you are back in. Loving the cozy bar. Yeah, I'm gonna change it up again here in a bit. The fireplace gets really hot. I like the lighting's better over there, but then my back feels like it's on fire because I'm really close. So yeah, but I think when spring and especially summer and especially fall, because all of these trees in the back, these are blooming cherry trees, so they turn pink with these beautiful pink blossoms in the springtime. So kind of, rearrange it a little bit. Let's see.
Spill the sobriety secrets. Yes, please,
Yes,
says Tara, smiling.
yes, yes.
I started powerlifting at first. Oh, that's incredible. Wow. That makes so much sense. I mean, that makes so much sense. Putting all your energy that you would have otherwise put into,
Mhm.
securing your drug of choice, imbibing of your drug of choice, making the decisions on how you were going to go about it, where you were going to go about it, giving yourself something to put your energy into. Wow.
And
That-
getting yourself healthy. I mean, you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That is amazing.
Well, should I read from some DBT?
Yeah, I think DBT is good.
Okay. Um,
And
the 4 modes of therapy. A lot of therapists integrate a little DBT into their practice, and some do DBT informed treatment, incorporating some of the DBT principles and strategies. But while DBT informed treatment can be very helpful for some clients, it's important to recognize that research shows that a comprehensive or full model DBT is the most effective strategy, especially for clients who suffer with the most severe symptoms. Providing comprehensive DBT that is faithful to the model requires providing 4 different components of DBT. These include individual therapy, group skills training, between session skills coaching, and therapist consultation team meetings. This is DBT as Dr. Linehan and her team developed, researched, and refined it. When you are looking for comprehensive DBT for yourself, a loved one, or a client, you will want to find out whether the therapist or program has the ability to provide all of these components. Individual therapy in DBT looks very different from traditional talk therapy. Each week, the therapist reviews the client's diary card on which the client tracks emotions, targets behaviors, and application and effectiveness of skills. If a client has engaged in a target behavior, the therapist and client engage in a behavior chain analysis, which is a detailed breakdown of all the vulnerabilities, events, thoughts, feelings, body sensations, actions, environmental factors, and consequences that occurred. The therapist and client work together to learn more about how this behavior occurred and what consequences keep this behavior in place. Then the client and the therapist draw upon the skills learned in group sessions. Together they create a solution and analysis of, I'm sorry, Steve did something in the background that just.
Let me answer this one question real quick while you dialectical behavior therapy is what DBT stands for, and it's just a way to train your brain, because someone was asking, it's a way to train your brain to not be too emotional or too void of emotion, to get into what they call a wise mind, so that you can make better decisions. And it teaches you how to do that and gives you skills to like reframe how a situation is happening to you or for you.
Then my mom, then Pup Groomer on her sobriety journey. Then my mom went out of work on disability, so I was working 4 jobs and trying to graduate high school and
Wow.
got sober.
Kimmy's
Oh,
Playhouse,
wow.
hello, nice to meet you. And wow, Pup Groomer,
Yeah,
that's a lot.
that's a lot.
Wow.
Hey, Anik. Hi, Kimmy.
Glad you're here. Hello.
Welcome. Glad to see you. Oh, wow, Pup Grimmer. You have a story to tell. I
Yes, you
can
do.
tell.
Let's see, Kimmy's Playhouse, 4 years clean of opioids. Good for you. I have BPD, borderline personality disorder, which is my biggest struggle right now as I wait for a DBT opening. I
Okay.
think Kimmy's Playhouse, you're going to find DBT to be extremely helpful. It is very in depth, and if you're waiting for it through your therapist, please, 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 whatever you do, make that solid commitment to yourself to show up for every session, because the skills that you will learn there will help you so much to be able to manage that. And I think that you will find it to be very, very helpful. So that's good. And I'm glad you're here. And congratulations on 4 years clean of opioids.
Yes, thank you.
Uh,
Yes. Another Mama's tiara. This was my mom's
yeah.
95th birthday tiara. She wore it on her 95th birthday, which was her last birthday. And we did it upright. Everybody wore tiaras, but this was hers. And so I celebrate sobriety with you with Mama's tiara.
Yes. I love it.
And I would just do it on my hair, but like I said, you really do not want to see what is under this this beret.
Um, Kimmy's Playhouse. Yes, the program is intensive outpatient through hospital. Awesome. Yeah. When I went through DBT, it changed how I looked at the world. Honestly, it's really amazing. Ben, yes, you're the best. I don't know why Henny's saying you're the best, but we all know you're the best.
Yeah, yeah, you are.
It's awesome.
And it's outpatient
BK,
through
hello.
hospital. That's amazing.
Yeah. Now mine was through my therapist. I think they do it different ways. Uh, Plant Freak, we superheroes say hi, all, and love. Back to lurking. Hi, Wee Man. Believe it or not, oh, okay, that's for CK. All right. Awesome.
Anyway, so now that Steve's not cutting up in the background, I was like trying really hard not to look, but yeah, he's hard to ignore. Then the client and the therapist draw upon the skills learned in group sessions. Together, They create a solution analysis of skills for every link in the behavior chain to use next time. So I want you to explain your experience of this, because this sounds very, very involved. Is it as involved as it seems like?
Yes. So when I went, well, first of all, you had to be recommended to go. So I was recommended to go. Then you had to wait for an opening, like Kimmy's Playhouse was saying. Um, and you have to sign a commitment at the beginning of everything. And it is that you cannot, it, like, you can only miss so many sessions. And if you miss more than like, it was like 3, 4, 5 sessions, they kicked you out and you had to wait until the next session opened up. And doing it in a group is really nice because you get to hear other people's experiences. We got a big binder. It was like this big, full of, and I have all of those. What I really should do is upload those onto. I'm sorry, I put my makeup on and I got a little makeup brush hair stuck somewhere. Um, I really should give those to you so you could upload them either onto the channel or onto Facebook. But the diary cards is what it does is it tracks your behavior. So every day you have to feel out how you were feeling, what DBT skills you use to practice to get yourself out of either emotional mind or rational mind into wise mind. Then you went over it with the group. They had little modules that you did. So they would read to you what the module was going to be about. Then they discussed it, and then you practiced how to implement it into your life. And then you graduated at the end. I think mine was like 6 or 7 months that I went through, and it helped me to be a better parent, helped me to just be a better person and handle situations differently. But yeah,
How long did
like
it
one of the
take you to
things,
start noticing a difference?
it was kind of probably like the book that I have, the modules that you go through, about halfway through the first module, because you have to get the background to understand everything. It's kind of like um, math. If you don't understand addition, you're not going to get algebra. So the first part of it was kind of slow because you were learning what all of these terms meant and how to apply them. But about halfway through the first module was when I really started noticing the difference. And then it all just started clicking, because a lot of times it goes back to this and it goes to this, and then you go back and then you go learn something else and then you review, you learn something else and then you review. But like I had to do a crisis plan. So if I was in crisis and DBT was not helping me, then what was my plan? Because it can't just be you get in crisis and you pick up and call your therapist. Like, you had to have a plan of how you were going to work through things yourself. And ideally it was to get you by the end of it when you graduated to be able to navigate those um like times that you were in crisis, to get you to be able to kind of get into your wise mind. Now, some crises are much more intense and you need a lot more help. But I noticed a lot of, I mean, and it changed how I think. That's why when I'm looking at something, I always kind of spin it, because that's a DBT thing. It's like, okay, instead of it being really bad, how can you spin it so that it's not so overwhelming? That's one of the things that you learn in DBT, is how to take a situation. And like, this is a very, very basic low level example, but it's raining outside, and instead of it being like, oh my god, it's raining, and now I can't go outside, and what if the gutters flood, and what if the streets flood, and what if there's a tornado, instead of looking at it in that kind of context, you say, okay, how can I look at this different? How can I see the positive in it? And you go, oh, it's raining. Awesome. The grass is going to grow. So it teaches you how to do that. Um, Crisis plan. Yes. I will get this over to you, because it does have a crisis plan. It's got a safety plan. I mean, this they made me fill out a commitment form. Like it's intense because if you stop at any point in it and you kind of forget where you're at, you kind of have to start over. So it really is like this very intensive um, training. That's where I learned box breathing. We always started with a meditation. So whenever we opened our session, we always did breathing and a meditation to kind of get us grounded, because a lot of the people that were in there with me were people that were borderline personality disorder, schizophrenic, bipolar, a lot of those types of things to help them learn to regulate their emotions and navigate their systems. So
Wow.
yeah, it's very helpful. Um, you know, um, it's very helpful, and that's why, if you can just get through the first part of those module, the the first part of it is really, you're like, huh, but once you get past that, that's when you start really getting to the stuff that helps. And it's not something, like it would be like, just because you know how to put gas in your car doesn't mean you know how to change out the engine, kind of thing. Hey,
Hey, Dan.
Sorry, is my mic level loud, too quiet,
It's
too
no,
fine.
low?
you're
Okay.
good.
Okay, yeah, I have absolutely
I
no
wanted
idea how this
to,
is.
I wanted to address Henny real quick. Um, the that's what makes it work. So if you think of it, and it might not be for you, DBT isn't for everybody, but the reason that it works is because you're practicing it every week. The sessions are every week for about 2 hours, and it's very intensive, and it's a lot for the therapist to prepare for. There's a lot of materials that go into it, time that goes into it to teach it, and it really is one of those programs that will help you immensely, but you have to be willing to work it. And because of I want to say this the right way, because of the disorders that the people that typically take this type of training have, they can be really into it and then just like drop off and then want to come back. And so it's teaching you to commit to yourself, but also it really doesn't work that way. I mean, it would be like the closest I can explain it would be if you were teaching somebody how to take apart an engine, and you showed up on the first day and you're like, this is how you take the engine out of the car. And then you miss 3 weeks and you come back and the engine's all apart. You didn't know how you got to that point, and you don't know how to put it back because you weren't there when you dissected it. But like I said, it's not for everybody, but it's super beneficial. Honestly, if there was one thing in my life that I could recommend to anybody, one thing I would do over and over and over and over again, it would be DBT. I mean, it really would. It is just that helpful. So please don't. And Kimmy's Playhouse, it says, I'm struggling with that myself now. Lots of paranoia, pain, fears of abandonment. Um, if you're talking about the DBT part of it, you'll find it's nice to hear other people's stories too, and how they apply things and what they've learned from it. Because it's you've got so many different people in there with different symptoms and different things and different ways of looking at it, that it really becomes this wealth of knowledge, and you can learn so much from the other people. I mean, there's just not enough positive things I can say about it. And when you come out of it, you really will. I mean, it's amazing.
I
And
would
Megan, I'm only a wealth of knowledge because I've messed up so much.
I would think that in a group setting also, that kind of takes down the level of cost prohibitiveness to it as well,
Right. Yeah.
because
And
that's a real thing.
Well, and you're getting a different perspective too. Whereas here, this is just a bunch of people getting together discussing it. You're getting actual certified therapists with the knowledge behind it too. So when you ask questions, they have a real way to answer it. Whereas the only thing I can say is, for me, it looks like this, but for them, they'll be able to say, well, because you have this, it's going to look like this for you, but with them, it's going to look like this. I mean, I don't know. Ben, do you have anything to add? I know
Well,
you're kind of into this whole thing.
oh no, I was just going to add that, or not add. I was just going to say this is much easier than typing for me with my fat fingers. Um, I was just going to add that I think the center I put myself in, they were dual diagnosis. They were really big on that, and it was exactly as you said. They get you into the big thing that they kept using was mindfulness for
Mm-hmm.
just about everything. And yeah, like you were saying, the box breathing to kind of get yourself breathing into your belly. If you ever notice when you're stressed, you'll chest breathe. You get
Yeah.
breathing into your belly, full complete. And it really helps you to engage your thinking brain, not your emotional center. That was all I was going to say about it.
Yeah.
Wow. And Haney wants to know what I think. I've been sitting here trying to figure out how I can do it. Who do I call first?
I think what I think now that things have kind of slowed down a little bit for me, and I've got the more technical book, maybe what I could do is go through and just pick out a few things to highlight to kind of talk on it and study. And that way we can make it, because it's one of those, I mean, it really, it really is. It's like I'm trying to tell you how to take apart a car engine, but you don't actually have a car engine to take apart. Like, you really have to see the worksheets. You really have to see the diagrams. You've got to see all of that stuff to make it make sense. Because otherwise, I'm just like, okay, to take apart a car engine, open the hood, get your cherry picker, get your wrenches. Now you're going to undo these 4 bolts right here. You're going to lower that down. And you can hear it, but until you actually see it done, and it's
Okay. And that makes
it
sense because right now it seems like an elusive thing, you
yeah.
know. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think because I have that book that's got, and I mean, you guys, I'm not even joking. This is a therapist level book, so it's what the therapist actually used. There are like 76 pages of worksheets, like of just different things to do. Now, that's got the commitments and stuff in there too. I mean, you could take a look at them and see. For me, like I said, I didn't really think twice about it because I was struggling so much with just trying to untangle and unravel everything that had happened to me, with all of the narcissistic abuse I'd gone through, with the eating disorder I'd gone through, with just trying to figure out who I was again, going through the divorce, finding out my dad was sick with cancer. There was so many things, and my brain just couldn't process it. And so for me, I thought it was the most helpful thing in the world, because it was like, look at it this way.
How far out from all that did you start this?
Oh, I was smack dab dropped in the middle of it. So I had a diagnosis of bipolar, which I was not. So I was on a pile of meds that I did not need for a condition I did not have. So I was being treated for that. I had been going to psychiatrists and psychologists for years who never offered DBT. And after my divorce was final, about a month after my divorce was final, we found out my dad had cancer. I was still in the throes of my eating disorder. And my therapist just said, you can't process all of this. Like, my brain was just not allowing me to process it. Part of it was because I was on 2,000 milligrams of Depakote. I mean, it's a wonder that my brain could even function at that point, truthfully. I was on risperidol, and I was on one other thing. I don't know what the other thing I was on was, but I was just told, you need this to cope. And it was the best thing, because it turns out I was not bipolar. I learned how it was situational, and it was extremely stressful. But I learned how to manage all of that. And through DBT, it helped me to manage my eating disorder, because it took the control that I found through not eating and starving myself, and it gave it back to me, and it put it in my mind. And
Were you
that's,
still taking the meds when you got into all this?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, I was still on the meds. And it wasn't until I moved back home with my mom, and I brought all of my meds with me, and my mom is like, "What are these?" And I told her what it was for, and my mom's like, "Yeah, we're sending you somewhere else." And when I went somewhere else was when they're like, "We're gonna do this whole bipolar diagnosis thing again. We're gonna," I can't even tell you, like, the jaw, um his jaw dropped when I told him what I was taking. He's just like, "I don't know how you function." um
wow.
you
And
know
that sounds like that was by design.
yeah, so Zelda, they could be. Mine was this. Okay, this is how I got diagnosed as bipolar. um i had um I had a plan to unalive myself, and got taken to the emergency room for that, as I should have. And then immediately got put into psychiatric care, which was picked out by my ex. I went into the appointment. I was not allowed to talk for myself. So he told them everything that was going on. The
That's not
question,
even right. I mean,
right,
there's no way that
Yeah.
should have been happening.
right, right. Uh, then the questions that I got asked, and I think this is where you have to be careful in and mindful in how you answer questions, is because some of the questions I got asked were, do you enjoy sex? Have you ever been really, really happy and then really, really sad? Have you ever bought anything and then felt guilty about it? Have you ever experimented with drugs and alcohol? Um, those were some of the questions. So even an average person, right, even an average person is going to have answers.
I mean, unless they're not
Right,
in the latter, the last thing,
right,
but
right. But so you combine that with, someone going in going, "Well, she's crazy. She flies off the handle, and she hides in the bathroom for hours, and she doesn't come out, and she only weighs 89 pounds, and she refuses to eat." I mean, believe me, I had stuff going on. It just was the wrong stuff.
yeah.
And I went to that psychiatrist until after my divorce. And then when I moved in with my parents, when my dad was sick, that's when my mom's like, she's my mom. She's like, "You're not bipolar. Like, you're a lot of things, and you got a lot going on, but you're not this."
It's not
So I
this.
went to a completely different doctor, and they're like, "No, you're not bipolar. Let's wean you off of these meds,
Wow.
and let's get you sorted out." The good news is I had the most amazing uh, psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, whatever you want to call them, that within 6 months, I kind of sorted out what was going on. And then I went into DBT, and everything, was good. But for me, it was a very extreme situation, because it was all situational, and it was based on the abuse that I was facing and
Yeah.
how my mind was coping with that. And
Yeah.
to be honest with you, I'm so lucky that my mind just didn't break, that I didn't just have a complete nervous breakdown and just break.
It's pretty remarkable that you didn't.
Yeah, and to me, I'm like, okay, when people say I have grit, I'm like, you know what, you're damn right I do, because if you've seen me then, there is no way you would know that I would be this person today. But Ben, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask, did they even wind up giving you the MMPI or anything like that before they diagnosed you as bipolar? Or
Is that like the little thing where they like ask you the questions and you answer them?
the Minnesota multiphasic personality inventory? It takes like, oh my gosh, it took me about an hour, and you start getting paranoid at the end of it because it's a bunch of questions.
Yeah.
But even the amount of time that you take
and
to answer.
No. Yeah, I mean, all I know is that first appointment, I was in forever, and it was just days after I had gotten released from the hospital. And of course, like if somebody is saying, I'm going to do this to myself, and your 3 children are upstairs, you really have got issues, right? I mean, like nobody was disputing that. But no, I didn't have a time to, like, I was never not in survival mode. I was never not in that gaslit mode of how do I answer? And I was just answering the questions. It never dawned on me to think, like, wait a minute, hold on, and so now I tell people, like, for example, when my daughter went in, she was really afraid because she knew my story and she's seen what all of that did to me, and it was not pretty at all. Like, I'm pretty sure that traumatized my kid. She was afraid to go to the doctor and even get prescriptions for her depression and her anxiety and her OCD because she was afraid she would get misdiagnosed. And that's when I told her, I said, listen, as long as you are mindful and aware and calm when you go in and you answer the questions, I'm like, look, if you need it, you need it. So go get the help. And if you don't understand what they're asking you, or you feel it's kind of like a trappy question, ask more questions. And I said, but you are not in the same situation I am. And I said, the difference is I do see where you have depression. I do see where you have OCD, and I do see where you have anxiety. And as your mom, those diagnoses are not going to floor me. Whereas with my mom was completely, everybody that knew me was like, what? Because most of the times, when you get those diagnoses, you're like, okay, that explains a lot in my life. For me, it wasn't, and people have emotions. Here's the other thing to remember. We have emotions. Even people who don't have multiple diagnoses, we have manic days, we have depressive days, we get happy, we get sad. That does not mean you have a mental illness. Your mental baseline is not supposed to be this.
A questionnaire isn't going to give you it's not going to bring you to the right place to know whether medication is necessary or not.
Right.
Yeah. The thing, my experience with it was, I went through the MMPI, and they were good doctors. These people were great and all this other stuff. However, having said that, it took me a long time, and I got a lot out of going to the therapy I went up there.
Right.
However, having said that, there was a little bit of a diagnosis issue there, because it didn't differentiate from personality disorders from having just a trauma load and then adding more situational trauma to it.
Right.
I mean, and ultimately it got addressed, but yeah, it was much later that I really got to the root of the issues.
Right.
And that was just my experience. And yeah, I got put on an antidepressant, and I'm really thankful I weaned myself off of it, because it was to the point my oil light would come on in the car and I didn't care. Granted, it's just a car, but still, it's like I had to really fight to make myself pull over, and it was easy. It just the drain plug wasn't screwed on all the way, so it lost its oil. All I needed was just to tighten it and put more oil in. But yeah, I would have burned up a motor.
Yeah.
And if it's that
Mhm.
to a guy who's, like, no, you don't do that to a car, what else could have happened if I had been on it later? And afterwards, yeah, I lost 3 months of my life. I have no recall of 3 months of my life when I was on this,
Oh, yeah.
and I've come to find out so yeah, it's definitely one of those things. I don't think it ever hurts to get a second opinion.
No.
It's not like they're not gonna nail you for doctor shopping for a psychiatrist
Right
or a
on.
therapist.
Well,
So
and
yeah.
I have 2 years of my life that I don't remember. I mean, years. And the kids will ask me, "Do you remember?" And Dally finally, I try not to say my kids' names. My oldest finally said, "You just don't remember any of that, do you?" And I'm like, "I don't. I don't."
Wow.
And let's see.
I noticed somebody brought up EMDR. To me, that was a great help with some early trauma issues I had.
Mhm.
That was like a magic bullet for me.
Did you do it one-on-one therapy or group therapy or?
EMDR, I did that. With that part, I did one-on-one.
Okay.
I only did a few sessions, but that was just simply being able to reprocess, which that's what EMDR is engaging the thinking brain to reprocess stuff that's in your lower part of your brain. But yeah, that really helped me.
Right on.
That was, but I realize it's probably different for everybody.
Tara Smiling had wanted to know if you're on meds now, Christy.
No, I don't have anything to be on meds for. I was on, for me, what helped me, now again, y'all got to understand my situation is kind of different. My mind is very analytical and I have to understand. Like, I've got to get to the root of a problem. Once I get to the root of a problem and I understand it, then I understand how to fix it. When I understood that everything that I was going through was situational and that it was a normal response to the trauma I was facing, then I was able to process it. I am really one of those people. I'm not neurodivergent. I'm not on the spectrum. I don't deal with depression or anything like that. Like, I'm very fortunate in that way. Um, and
I take 2 medications for it, and I'm so thankful for them. I couldn't function without them.
And that's and my oldest is that way. She really needs her medication. And if you need it, by all means, please go get it. Please. Because if you really do have an imbalance in your brain, what it's doing is it's bringing those levels to where they should be so that you can operate. What happened in my brain was I was operating fine and then it went and that's not what it's supposed to do.
Sure. Yeah, trauma does all sorts of weird things like that. And it's a lot of times, until you get it addressed, simply giving it time is not necessarily a cure. Time heals all wounds. Not really.
Not really. That's not been my experience.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter once you pass that transitory point. We still have a finite moment here.
Mm-hmm.
I was on one medication for depression, Henny, and that's kind of where I found myself. They help, but I still suffered, and I realized that my depression was very cyclical.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went low, I went really low. I would call that my cocoon, and they put a second. I'm actually on a antipsychotic.
Mm-hmm.
It helps.
Nice. Well,
and it's the first winter that I've been able to not be almost catatonic in like a long time.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, Misha says situational became mental, became addiction, became situational, multiplied by situational. Yeah, that's and then Paris says I'd like to come off the meds someday, but I need them to be able to handle the mental health recovery side of things now. I need the extra support.
Yeah.
And Tara, share that with your mental health
Yeah.
therapist. Say, is this something that I can that just will get me through right now, and that one day I'll be able to not be on them? The difference between me and my oldest is she's going to be on these meds for the rest of her life because she needs them. She really
Same
does
here.
deal with depression. She deals with the OCD and the anxiety. I needed them for a short period of time to just help me get through that time. And it helped me. And there's one is not better than the other. If you need it to make your life the amazing journey that you deserve it to be, man, do it. If it's
I mean, there was a time when I would have settled for not even. It didn't have to be amazing. Can it just not be so dark? Such a dark thing to walk through.
right. And yeah, and Henny's right. For some things
Yeah.
there is no cure, and it's help. And I think that's what, for me, knowing what I'm working with is the biggest thing, because like, if I know, I have migraines. So if I know when they come and I know what they're going to feel like and I know how they're going to feel, I can manage that. To me, just knowing is so helpful. Um, Harm reduction, and that I I'm
Mhm.
learning that seems to be a good way to do things too. I never
Yeah.
thought of harm reduction,
Yeah.
you know.
Wounds get compounded, and then it can feel like there's no way out. Hence,
Yeah.
addiction can set in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the cycle that I was in way, way back. I did not get the help that I needed for decades.
Hmm.
And then when I hit menopause, there was no choice.
Right.
I had to do something. Had to do something.
Hmm. Hmm.
And by that time, I had a doctor that I felt I could trust
Hmm.
to diagnose and medicate properly, and she has.
Right.
We've had to do a little bit of trial and error, but not a lot,
And I think,
just because she asks great questions
hmm,
and, and really listens and really researches, doesn't pretend to know the answer.
right.
She's done research right there in front of me,
Yeah.
you know.
And I think it's important to have a doctor and a therapist, or a mental support team that you do trust, that you feel comfortable with, because if you don't have that, you're not going to be honest.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to be honest, so let me speak for myself. I'm not going to lump everybody together, and you're not going to get the help that you need. I mean, I didn't. And I just took what was in front of me. I was like, because you think, why would this person who's supposed to love me and take care of me put me into this position?
Yeah.
Well, it was there.
I don't know why a medical professional would let someone's husband answer for them when I'm considering putting them on some kind of medication. Okay.
You have enough money, you can get what you want.
Dang.
I mean, really, if you go into private pay to the most expensive, well-renowned psychiatrist in town, and you say, I'm pretty sure my wife is this. I've looked it up on the internet. She's got all the symptoms. This is what she just went through, here. Because again, it's that gaslighting thing. And you go in and then they ask you the questions, and you're already like, you 2 days before were ready to unalive yourself. And then, and then you were in a hospital wearing a paper gown with no shoelaces and no nothing. You couldn't even turn the water on. You couldn't flush the toilet. To now you're sitting in a psychiatrist's office and everybody's telling you you need help. You're just going to go with whatever because you are so in that frantic. And see, I'm a fighter. Like, mine isn't to run away, it's to fight. So if I'm feeling like I'm having to fight for my life, which is where I was at,
Yeah.
I'm gonna fight. So if you tell me, I mean, he could have told me you need to go jump off the Royal Gorge, and I would have been like, how do I get there? I mean, that's just where I was. And,
Right.
you know, and you get somebody that's a good manipulator and you're really good at, you know, I mean, it was really scary. It was scary.
So that's it.
Yeah,
Medications are great if you are diagnosed properly.
Yes,
Yes.
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 And
yeah, that whole thing would create a bias for the doctor.
mhm,
I mean,
Yeah.
he may be a nice guy, but and you're going to agree with him at that point. You're going to agree. Yeah, like you said, you'd jump off a bridge if he told you to.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know, and
Mhm.
it is, you know, when you know the whole story, the fact that, and this is where I lose a lot of people, is because they did forgive him. I was like, okay, you know, you did save my life. I'm still here, and you gave me two beautiful children, and I had to do that in order to move on, you know, and to
Yeah,
become who I am. But not everybody's going to do that, and it just, everybody has their own way of working through it, you know. And I
sure.
think that's what's important. Everybody's got their own way, their own time. You know, there's no time frame, and there's, just because something worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for everybody. But I'll sure share with
Yeah.
you what I did, you know, because it might be something you didn't think of.
Mhm.
You know, but I think medications and therapy, good therapists, good doctors, family that will stand and fight for you, friends that will stand and fight for you, connection,
Yeah.
people who know you, those are all so important. I mean, really.
Sure. Oh, yeah, and I think at least with my issue,
Mhm.
um, my whole thing happened in the early 2000s, and that's when you had this explosion of
Yeah.
psychiatric
Mhm.
medication, and there was this big push for everybody just to start handing it out like candy. And I think a lot of that, or at least a bit of that, has kind of been tempered back a little bit toward the psychological community saying, okay, yeah, we shouldn't just hand these out like
Right,
M&Ms.
right. Um, Zelda, yeah, that's true. Sometimes you get
Yeah.
so excited because you've got a name for it. Uh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I wanted to say, CK, are you okay? I kind of,
Yeah.
I didn't really.
Of him, but once results biopsy come back, I'll go to New Orleans to watch
Yeah,
my mother. Wow, you've got a lot,
maybe
CK.
I can talk. CK, you know, I'm gonna pray for you. I don't pray like typical people pray, but if you're okay with that, I would like to pray for you every night, if you're okay with that.
I know you're fine, but dang it,
You
that's
know,
a lot.
yeah,
A lot.
you know, um, I can't type, but CK, sending you love. Um,
Yeah.
Tara, I'm so glad you have a really good team of
So
rock
I'm
stars.
glad you got some rock stars
Yeah,
on your
yeah,
side.
yeah,
Yeah. Woo.
yeah. It's
Mhm.
it's good. Yeah. And don't ever be afraid to ask for a second opinion or a third, or,
Third.
you know, if you're not being heard, um,
Yeah.
you know, and yeah, yeah. Well, did we want to do a little breathing and a meditation
Yeah.
in here? And
And if anybody needs to get in touch with me, it's needingameetingrecovery@gmail.com. It's in the description, also in my about page.
we've
Right
got
on.
a Facebook page too, right?
Yeah, we have a
So,
Facebook page. Yeah, and feel free to contact me personally for anything. It may take me a little while to get back to you. I do spend a good bit of time out in the barn with the critters. And then I got a recovery period after that. They wrangle me, let's just be real.
well, and you guys can reach out to me too. You know, if there's anything I can help with. CK, I'm really glad that you're fine. And know that I'm sending you love. Oh, Carol, Zelda wants to know if the puppy's gone.
The puppy that they came to get the other day, yes, went to a great place. It's a young couple on 12 acres with goats and turkeys and 2 little girls, and they've got other dogs like a German Shepherd that's their protector, but has just runs for the hills when there's coyotes, whereas a Pyrenees is going to run to a coyote, and a coyote wants none of it. So they had a coyote get one of their turkeys the other day. So they were really glad to get him,
Nice.
and I felt really good about where he went. I really did.
Good. And it looks like Misha put the Facebook group and the email in there for everybody.
Yes, thank you for that, Misha.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take this last 5 minutes and we'll do a little bit of some box breathing and a guided meditation real quick. And then we'll catch up with all of that. So let's do 3 box breathing and then we'll go into the guided meditation. So we're going to breathe in for a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, breathe out until all of the air is out of your lungs, allowing your shoulders to drop. When you breathe in, think of something positive if you can. And then as you exhale, just imagine anything negative, just kind of leaving your body, anything that doesn't serve you anymore. Thanks for putting up my Facebook. All right, so go ahead and close your eyes, kind of shake it out a little bit. All right, and I want you to imagine yourself dropping into your heart space, whether that's putting your hand on your heart or picturing a small version of yourself going into a room that you envision being your heart center and sitting there, taking in all of the love that you have for yourself. We're going to go ahead and do 3 box breathings. So go ahead and breathe in, hold, and exhale. Again, breathe in, hold, and exhale. Getting all the air out of your lungs, making sure to let your shoulders drop. And the last time, breathe in, hold, and exhale. And I want you to imagine that you are standing in a green meadow next to a cool mountain stream. You're listening to the sounds as the water flows over the rocks and gurgles down out of sight. You see beautiful trees and flowers all along the riverbank. And just down 10 steps, you see a nice big rock. You're going to go sit on that rock. And as you walk these 10 steps to the rock, imagine letting go of everything that does not serve you. Any anger, any confusion, anything you're upset over. Step 1. Step 2. Step 3. Step 4. Step 5. You're already feeling so much lighter. Step 6. Step 7. Step 8. Your breathing has slowed down. Your heart rate has slowed down. Step 9. Step 10. You now sit on this warm rock, feeling the sunshine all around you, listening to the water as it flows by. As you look around, you see a bird flying in the sky. And that reminds you of something that you're very thankful for. So take a moment to focus on this one thing that you are most thankful for right now. no matter how big or how small it might seem. And now you look around and you find a small rock. And you pick it up and you hold it in your hand. And you focus anything that is negative or you feel unhealthy or something that you just want off your chest to get rid of. And you focus that into that rock. And you chuck it into the water. And into the water in that rock it goes. There's things that you are learning to realize. And now you feel a great lightness and a great happiness take over. You feel grounded and peaceful with your heart rate and your breath slowed down. And a little bit of calmness has come into your life. Take a moment to enjoy that. And when you are ready, open your eyes. All right. Very good. All right. Well, I will let you get onto the barn. Thank you, everybody, for this great meeting, and you guys have a good night.
Good to see you, Christy.
See ya.
Love you.
I always love seeing Christy on these. You have a great day.
You too, Ben. Thanks, you guys, and thanks for understanding. That's not to say we won't have marathon meetings every now and again, but I can kind of mentally prepare for them, and we can do them in shifts. We'll figure it out. I really know we will, and hope to see you guys again in the next meeting. And until then, peace, y'all. Love you.